JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-717-WAVE, 888-717-WAVE, or visit dryhealthyhome.com, dryhealthyhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
So are you tired of being tired? Well, then it's time to get the tea. Hey, it's Lisa here to tell you about this all-natural, all-organic tea I've been drinking that has had great results for over 20 years. It's called Life Change Tea, and it's specially formulated to help detoxify and cleanse your kidneys, liver, colon, and blood all at once. The colon is one of the most ignored organs in the human body. The faster that waste is eliminated from the body, the less time that waste sits in our intestines, spreading toxins to our bloodstream. This tea helps cleanse chemicals caused by outside intruders from our entire digestive system. And get this, weight loss can be a side effect. And with continued use of the tea, you can experience clearer, healthier, younger looking skin, increased energy, and a happier outlook on life. So if you're tired of being tired, get the Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. And like me, you'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Gremlins.
Our guest tonight, Isaac Arthur, discussing the Fermi paradox. And there you go. See, Isaac, right there, that is an example of sometimes they don't want us to communicate.
I would say it's a great example of why it is a good idea to keep your more basic technology around, like radio, if you got all more advanced stuff. So.
Totally, 100%. Keep the analog version. Whatever it is that you are doing, still, everybody wants the USB hookup in their car now, right? You can barely buy a radio in the car. I think that's a bad idea. I really do.
Add options, not subtract.
When we were all growing up, you remember the stereo stores at the mall, right? And you would have these ginormous speakers, and your cassette deck, and your equalizer, and nobody has radios in their house anymore.
Right? I still do. I got a few, but we lose the power out where I'm at pretty regularly, so it pays to have a radio with batteries.
I don't think we have one over. Oh, you know what? I've got an emergency radio in my bug out kit, right, with the crank up. Yeah, that I do have.
Those. Yeah, I have plenty of batteries lying around, but it's nice to have something you can actually hand crank, because solo is handy, but not at nighttime. So.
Yeah, I've got all of that. I've got lanterns that you crank up that actually have USB chargers on them. I do. I really do. I've got the whole survival kit.
The more of these kind of things you have on hand, if nothing else, they give you a lot of peace of mind. And if you're in some kind of civilization where you've got a lot of prosperity, you're going to do a lot of preparing work, against catastrophes, if for no better reason that peace of mind. So it tends to be one of those reasons why I think they'd have a lot of the old stuff lying around.
Yeah, let's continue here. And now that we're obviously going to go into some overtime tonight, so we can get the rest of this in, I want to complete these thoughts. And one of so the question is, where is ET? Right? Where are they? And when you come to this next answer, again, it gets deliberately, what's the word I want to say, complex, because maybe, just maybe, Earth is not contacted, that they are avoiding us.
When we get to those ones, and this is kind of the zoo hypothesis, well, in this case, this wouldn't be a zoo hypothesis, assumes they're not really avoiding us, they're watching us. The version where they avoid us, what we sometimes call the quarantine option, is where for some reason they want to stay away from us, and usually specifically Earth, though it might just be any primitive civilization. I can't think of anything that Earth would have going for it that they'd want to specifically avoid. They often will see the films, they say, well, humans are so aggressive and hostile. I say, well, maybe these aliens are a lot more peaceful, but they probably came up the ladder the same way we did. And, the evolution is a 4 billion year deep corpse pile. You tend to be aggressive to survive. So
right.
I can't think of any reason why they would want to avoid us out of fear for themselves. So that one has the problem that it doesn't really fit well. That
okay, so we scratch
us is different.
Let's scratch that off the list then. But what would the other reasons be for not? They may not be negative reasons.
Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily have to be negative reasons. I mean, they feel that they're going to contaminate all culture, and the reverse of that is an option too, where it might be more widespread. That alien civilizations don't want to go to war with each other. They're not hostile, but they always leave big buffer zones and don't communicate much because they found that no matter how you cut it, they've got cultural differences that they just can't get along when they're close to each other. We often say that by getting to know people, we learn to understand them. Often when we learn to understand them, we still don't get along very well. We have the example of the Babel fish from Douglas Adams that he says, by having allowed everyone to speak each other's language, it's caused more bloodier wars than anything in history.
Right.
If you've got an alien species that produces as fast as dogs or cats do, it has litters, they might have adopted very early on a control of population where they kill off 90% of their kids that aren't quite up to snuff and only keep the best 10%. There was no way we were ever going to really get along with them. We don't want to go to war with them, but we don't want to talk to them. And we also don't want them, and they don't want us, poisoning new civilizations against them. So there might be a kind of a loose rule that you only expand out so far and you keep pretty quiet. You're not hiding. You just don't actively court conversations with other civilizations. And that one's a viable-ish Fermi paradox, just because it means if people don't expand or talk much, we might have missed them so far. That one, though, is still pretty iffy. It requires a lot of assumptions about how these civilizations would look to us if we were looking for them.
And what about, okay, now this is the church hypothesis on this one. Maybe we're boring. Maybe there's more exciting. They know about us. They've visited us. They've checked us out. But there are just cooler versions of Earth to go to. And
Earth is the Kansas of the galaxy.
That's right. I'm not trying to offend anybody in Kansas, but Vegas is a lot more exciting, right? Yeah. And so maybe they want to go to Planet Vegas.
And that makes so much sense, except for one problem. They get millions of visitors to Kansas every year. You find me a boring place and someone's going to come by to visit. You know, even if just to be like, why does nobody visit this place? I need to go write up an article on this. Or there'll be someone saying, hey, this place gets no tourism. It's a ripe target. I'll go there, I'll talk to them, and get their tourist industry booming, and I'll make $1 billion, Centaurian bucks by getting Earth's tourism industry going. You know, someone's going to come by to visit for some reason. It doesn't matter how boring the place is, they're going to have stopped by.
Well, and yes, you see, you lay it out pretty well, but I just disagree with that. And the only reason why I disagree with it comes down to math. That I know that there has to be, it's simple math, there has to be millions, if not billions, of versions of Earth out there in this galaxy, right? Water, everything, plants, nice beaches, great place to hang out. But then there are billions of versions of Earth out there that are fun. A little bit bigger. The temperatures are a little bit better. There's less earthquakes, and there's things, and the great casinos, and the food is just a little bit better. You know, I'm just saying that maybe that is the case where we're just boring. There is no action here.
Yeah, that is a real possibility for why we wouldn't get much traffic. But it doesn't, the bigger the population the galaxy gets, and we start talking about galactic empires, you're talking about billions upon billions of potential worlds and habitats they might have built with billions upon billions upon billions of people. There's just, however boring Earth is, there's going to be a few people who think it's the coolest place ever.
Right.
Even if just because it's so boring and they want to be able to tell their friends how exciting this place nobody else went to was. Someone is going to find it cool. If there's one thing the internet has taught us is that no matter how boring the hobby would seem to be, there are a lot of people who think it is the coolest thing ever.
That's right.
That is what that's what the cool thing's about nowadays. You can find those 200 people on the planet who share your obsession with collecting 19th century pennies. And if Earth is a 19th century penny that nobody else cares about, there's still going to be those billions of people out there in that empire who think it's cool.
And so how do we answer that when we think about the amount of, and we're going to take a break in just a minute here, Isaac, that all of those civilizations that are out there in the Milky Way, that coming here is easy. And we have only been here technically in an electrical sense for about 100 years. That they could have been here 100,000 years ago, which is a blip of time, a million years ago, 10,000 years ago, where there was no video cameras or photographs or a way to document any of this. And they've simply moved on. They know that Earth is here, and they may not be back.
Fundamentally, that one comes up to the issue is, Kansas is pretty well documented too, but people still keep coming there every year. I'm feeling bad for the folks in Kansas, but it's proverbial, right? That is one of the boring places to live. Say the same about Ohio. We still get tons of visitors. I live in a tourist trap. We get people visiting every summer by 1,000, and I think it's boring. That's why I like the place. It's calm, it's peaceful. Yet folks come by to visit for exactly that reason. And so how can you exhaust an entire planet's options? Will have changed. They came here 10,000 years ago. Have we not had 10,000 years of history they might find interesting? why would they not want to come back and see what's changed?
Well, I would say that they do. Right, they do, but that's the best part of having this type of conversation tonight, to give everybody something to think about on both sides of the fence. And with that, let's take our scheduled break right now. Our guest tonight is Isaac Arthur, and when we come back, we're discussing the Fermi paradox. And when we come back, we got to jump into Stephen Hawking. We're going to get to the rest of the answers, but I'm saving the best for last when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously, go Beckley Teppy. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hi folks, CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. You know, there's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and my family is safe because of Numana Emergency Food Storage. Just go to the Numana banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code Jimmy10.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not
not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Isaac Arthur. We're discussing the Fermi paradox, saving the best for last. And Isaac, really quick, Isaac, my Twitter is at JChurchRadio. What is yours?
Let me double check. I think it's Isaac _A_Arthur.
There you go. You always do that, underscore and dots. But but I get it. So it's Isaac _A_Arthur.
Yep.
Okay. Now, with I want to know how much you researched or read into, guys like Stephen Hawking and Carl Sagan in the past, where I've always felt that Carl Sagan did a pretty good flip-flop on us when it came to UFOs and alien civilizations. And the same thing with Stephen Hawking, where I think he was very adventurous for a period there, and then went pretty dark with alien contact, and then turned around and wanted to fly stuff to Alpha Centauri.
I think he gets a little bit of an unfair reputation about that. Towards the end, he was often making comments, and the media rushed out. Anytime he'd say anything, it was big news. Often he was just quoting something that was established science for a century or more. He was a great speaker and teacher for the field, but often he would say material that was, classic parts of the field. And people would say, oh my God, Hawking said this. His suggestion that I think people refer to there is that we don't want to talk to aliens because if you go making noise in the woods, a predator might come out and eat you. That's not his idea. That's a very classic concern. That's the concept of METI, which is active SETI. The idea that you don't try to listen, you get out there and speak, and someone was going to point out if you're out there yelling really loudly, someone might hear you, and you might not want them to come by and let you know that they are there. So I think he pointed that out very fairly. A lot of people do. I do not worry much about active SETI, though, because any alien civilization shows up right now, deciding to invade us or hurt us, that wants to do this, that has space travel, that can't hear us, it's not going to be a contest. They'd wipe us out. So there's no point even worrying about something like that. We cannot hide from them. And if they want us dead, they're going to get us dead. So it's a legitimate concern, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's like worrying about an asteroid hitting your civilization if you live in ancient Rome. You can't build a rocket to go blow that thing up, so there's not much point worrying about it. And I think that he wasn't really saying that this is something that we need to be worried about, though he might have been. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think he was just pointing out that is one of those concerns we had to have about SETI.
So is it dangerous to attempt communication?
No, because, and this is what it comes down to, is they don't need to hear our radio signals. If you have space flight and you've been around for a long time, you already know about every planet out there that has life on it, because you weren't waiting for radio signals. You were sending out active probes to go look for stuff, and you were building gigantic telescopes that can pick up signs of life on planets when there's just oxygen in the atmosphere. We'll be doing that inside of 20 years. They have been doing that for millions of years, and they saw us, very early on. So they're not going to be hunting for radio signals. If they want to go wipe out our life, they're going to wipe out all life. There are so many ways you can do that without even leaving your home solar system and purge an entire galaxy of people who do not have technology equal to your own.
When we go back and look at, it's not the same kind of party today, but when Tesla was building those ginormous radio towers, right, and Marconi, and there were 100,000 watt, blowtorch radio stations all over this planet. How much of the cat was let out of the bag as far as visibility goes from, 1890 until 1950?
More than now, because we're a lot quieter with our signals, we're more efficient, but less than was necessary to see us. Because, you're doing a flyby of this planet 2,000 years ago, you're seeing the pyramids sticking out like sore thumbs. You're seeing, I don't know when the Great Wall got built, but that's been around for quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And even before that, you look back, say, 500,000 years ago, you're going to wonder what all those little files are doing in the forest. And you'll be able to pick those up on night scopes pretty easy. And then you go back before that, you're looking for places where life might develop. The big blue planet's a pretty big giveaway, you know? So I don't see the radio as being a risk to us because as loud as those signals are, they're not nearly as loud as the, 200 quadrillion watts of power being given off by this planet reflected from the sun.
Well, what about the concept that was presented by Carl Sagan in his book Contact and in the movie?
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the differences were between those. They might want to contact us using the Planck scale is always the thing I remember from that. But it's been so long since I saw that movie.
Well, they took our television signals and
that's right.
right, and then and sent them back to us with a scramble in the carrier signal.
Mm-hmm. The biggest concern there is that the core idea is they didn't have to wait to then. They might have waited then to make contact with us, but that wouldn't have been new to them. If they can reach out to us physically like that, send probes, then they knew about us beforehand. Why would you not go and investigate every planet in your galaxy, even if you didn't want to live on them? There has to be some motivation for why you're getting out into space. And if you find other planets boring, inhabited or not, you're not interested in settling them, you're not interested in exploring them, then you're not going to be listening for radio signals either because you don't care.
Well, and so let's break this down really quick before we get to the last question. How fast is a radio signal? How fast is it?
300 million kilometers a second. Sorry, 300 million meters per second. Very quick.
Compared to light speed?
Same speed.
Is it the same speed?
Radio signals are the exact same speed as any other infrared radiation in the vacuum. They don't all move at quite the same speed inside an atmosphere or a medium, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. So then if we did simple math here and we just said, okay, let's go with 50 years, right? In that we're, because I'm dealing with round numbers, 100 years. We're at 2019. So the radio signals that were sent out in 1919 that went 50 light years away. Is there?
They'd be out to 100 by now, but somebody 50 years away could have sent back to us by now. Yeah.
See, I like the way you think. That's where I'm going with this. So somebody 50 light years away has received the signals. Now they know where we are, and now they're headed this way. Wouldn't they be arriving about now?
They would be, yeah. Now, if they were waiting, they were just happy on a planet, say, 40 light years away, they got all messages 60 years ago, and they started sending the fleet our direction. They might be getting here. We don't know how fast those ships go. It might be 10% of speed of light, in which case it'll be a few centuries still.
Right.
But they could have got a signal back to us. And if they don't have ships that can move fairly close to light speed, they probably would send a signal back first. If you can move fairly close to light speed, though, you probably would go that way because you're getting signals sooner and closer to that time. And it gives you much more up-to-date information. So you might as well let your diplomatic team boil themselves down to the modern era when they arrive and do the talking for you without the risk of mistakes.
And that's exactly the point. Should we be concerned? If you were the head of the United Nations, would you have a delegation put together knowing that if we just went with simple math, that 50 light years away, those potential civilizations know where we are and would be arriving shortly? Should we prepare something?
Yes, but not to talk to the aliens. We want to make sure we have a prepared mechanism in place so that we're not tripping over each other trying to figure out what to do if they do say hi. They're going to know how to talk to us if they came here. They'll have been listening to our radio signals while they came in. They'll have had plenty of time to process them, and they've got a game plan in mind. We mostly need to make sure that we don't trip all over each other as various world leaders try to decide who's supposed to be doing the talking and, which country gets to talk first and what kind of team we should be using and what message we should send. And that's where the issues come into play. Mostly making sure that we don't fall to pieces. We don't really need to put much effort into how to talk to them, though, because they'll have solved that issue if they want to talk to us, in all likelihood.
There is a lot of rumor going around in our community. The United Nations has appointed I forget what they're called, but there is an interstellar ambassador in place, right? Do you think that they've got a game plan ready to go? Do you think that there is an official protocol manual that's printed out and distributed just in case?
I wouldn't be. I mean, to be honest, I would kind of expect that to be public if there was one, just because it would be, from their perspective, I think they'd mostly be wanting to, get enthusiasm involved with the populace. Like when they did when the CDC released that Survive the Zombie Apocalypse manual.
Yes.
I could easily see us doing something like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if we already had. And if not, I'd certainly suggest it. It's good outreach. But we are contingency planners. I would assume that most countries keep a file somewhere on how to invade everybody, including their best neighbors or the town next door to their capital. So I wouldn't be surprised if everybody had one of those lying around. They might want to keep them secret, or they might put them out there. I honestly couldn't say on that. To me, it would make sense to have such a manual. I'm on the skeptical end of things that I'd still say have one. You send spaceships out there, I don't expect them to run into anybody. I'd still include a manual for what to do in case that happened. Even if for no better reason they're not worrying about themselves at the time because they know they got a manual they can crack open and read if that happens.
I asked a police officer, LAPD guy, this is 2 years ago, and I happened to, I can't get into the details, but I was hanging out with this guy for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and, we're just talking. And I said, so, UFO lands. He goes, what, like a flying saucer? I said, yeah. Right there on Sherman Way, right? And you're driving down the road, UFO lands and starts blocking traffic. What do you do? He goes, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, have you been trained? Has this ever been talked about? He said, no. I said, okay, what would you do? He goes, well, I'd call it in, but I guess the National Guard. He was looking at me so perplexed. Now, I don't know if he's ever thought about UFOs or ETs or whatever, but so maybe he's never thought about this. He's never watched Ancient Aliens. Okay, that's fine. But as far as any official protocol goes, he swore to me up and down there is nothing on the books for it.
I haven't got one either. I assume we don't have one for my county. Someone would have thrown it my way out of humor unless it was secret, and nobody can keep a secret anyway. So.
Right.
So if there is one, it's, but again, we presume, like I said, we probably have a detailed invasion plan for Canada. No one expects to use it, I'd imagine, but it's probably lying around somewhere. There's probably someone whose job it is to make sure it's up to date, and we probably wouldn't follow it properly if it actually had occasion to use it. But you don't bother to distribute that to all the division commandos because they've got a million such contingency plans, and you only send them the ones that they think are very likely to come up. And if it becomes more likely that something like that is going to come up, that's when you send them the plan and start updating it. You can only prepare for contingencies to so much, and a lot of the reason why you do some of the weirdo contingencies is to kind of give yourself practice for thinking outside the box. So I would be surprised if we didn't have them lying around.
You just have to dust them off.
Yeah. Well, hopefully someone's doing more than dusting them off, because even if we treat it as a theoretical exercise, there's an out-of-context problem we sometimes say, or a black swan for something a little bit more regular. When the ship rolls into harbor made out of metal and you're a Neolithic civilization, that you don't have any way to respond to that. And one of the ways you can prepare for things like that, where you just never would have thought about it, is to keep the mind flexible and do a lot of these contingencies, because there will be aspects of that you can handle. When people start breaking out into a riot because they're confused about what's going on,
right?
Then you at least do know how to react to a riot. So you have these things around, to keep your mind flexible and to deal with those parts that you can deal with. So I would actually go so far as to say, if we didn't have a plan for that, it'd be kind of irresponsible. On the other hand, folks might be nervous about making something like that for fear they get ridiculed and things like that. So you never know the government.
But you bring it up, that whole zombie apocalypse thing.
Mm-hmm.
We laughed about it, but that was a real contingency that was written up and studied.
Mm-hmm. Now, to be fair, it was a lot of the regular advice we tell everyone to have for a disaster. And the same would apply for a lot of, almost any catastrophe you might think about. There are certain basic preparatory measures you should be taking. And if this is a way that we can teach people about it because they find it interesting or funny or they just want to joke about it, all the better. That gets them thinking about it, then they're thinking about it, and that means that they're covered when some kind of catastrophe happens because they did a little bit of prep work on their own. And that lets us go and cover down on the folks who maybe didn't do so much of it. Because any kind of catastrophe, almost all of them have the same basic playbook. A lot of variation, but a lot of the core stuff is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which takes us to our last answer. The question is, where is ET? Where is everybody? And the answer is, they are here unacknowledged.
That is, we often say that that's the least popular answer for a lot of folks in the scientific community, but in fact, it's probably the number 2 most favorite answer.
How so?
We have the Fermi paradox, and the Fermi paradox says one basic question. If this universe is so big, where we have so much life in it, where are all the aliens? And that first category we have, the rare earth ones, is not a good Fermi paradox solution because it says there's no paradox at all. The universe is big, but we shouldn't assume life is very common from that.
Right.
The other half of that, of course, is where are all the aliens? And so if the answer is right here, we're just not admitting that they're there, so to ourselves or to the rest of the population, then that's also not a Fermi paradox answer because there's no paradox. The question's wrong. It says, why are they here? So it breaks the basic paradigm there, same as with the rare earth. They're not really fundamentally Fermi paradox solutions because the Fermi paradox is assuming life should be very common, and we don't see it. And that's a problem, though, because at that point, we can't disprove they're here or prove they're here based on what we have so far. It's not conclusive enough to convince most people. And yet, it comes down to motives. With any of these scenarios, we can't say they can't hide from us because they might have better technology than us. There are so many reasons why they might visit, and for each one of those, we have to say, what is the motivation and how should they be behaving if that's what they're doing? Based on what we see, what is the motivation? So even if that's the solution, even if it is that they are here and we're just not acknowledging them, it still doesn't answer the question because the question really isn't, are there aliens? The question is, what are they up to? What's their civilization like? I don't want to know that dolphins exist. I want to know about dolphins. And so if there are aliens here visiting us in secret, I want to know what they want. What motivates them? What's their purpose? What do they want to do? And we can see a million. One of them could land right there in the middle of LA, like you suggested, and that still doesn't answer the question for us. It's when they get out and they talk to us and they answer our questions. That's when we get our solution.
Do you think that we would actually be close to some of our ideas or theories now, or would we just not have a clue why they were here? We would just be completely wrong.
Oh, I would say my skepticism in that regard is to assume that we're always going to be completely wrong in our assumptions on things like this. And every one of these things I always say, I don't think any of the Fermi paradox answers is probably going to turn out to be right. Insofar as most of them, the answer is, why are they the least wrong? When you look at this, there's got to be something wrong in our basic thinking. Even with the ultra-rare technology and Earth hypothesis, the flaw there would have to be our post-geocentric view of the universe. We spent centuries convincing ourselves that Earth is not unique and not very important. And yet if life is that rare, that entire mindset that Earth is not all that special is just wrong, and that's a flaw in our thinking. Alternatively, with each one of these, there has to be some core flaw, either in our philosophy or approach to knowledge, or in what we know about the universe thus far. And that's what's kind of cool about the Fermi paradox at the end of the day, is we know the answer is going to be something that requires us to change the way we look at the universe in some major fashion.
Does that scare you? In that there's two things that really freak me out. One, that there's no life after death. That scares the crap out of me, that you just die and turn into cosmic dust and you achieve your place in evolution and there's nothing else to it. That scares the crap out of me. And you know what else scares the crap out of me, Isaac? Is that there are people out there that think that we are it, that there is no other life in the universe. And if that is the case, if there's nothing to live for, then why don't we just burn this planet down, man? Why don't we just party like it's 1999?
Oh, wow. Well, if we were the only life in the universe, and I mean, I tend to think we're probably it for the galaxy in terms of technology, but the universe is a big place. Our galaxy is a tiny, tiny corner. And but if we did turn out to be the only intelligent life that have arisen so far, and let's say none was going to come into play anywhere for billions of years, then that means that we will run into aliens one day as we get out there and we make new ones, as we just go to world after world and settle them and they diverge. And it would be such a tragedy if we were the only ones and we stayed here. And that's one of the reasons why I figure somebody would have had to be first. Whether it's us or not, somebody was the first on the scene in their galactic corner. And they'd have to be thinking the same stuff we're thinking right now. And if that's the case, what a shame it would be if they said, no, we're going to stay here. I can't see them doing that. I have to think that they would get out there and explore and expand and colonize. It's because the universe is we always talk about how interesting space is. Space is really boring when you're only looking at just the rocks and the stars. And yeah, the science, the astronomy is awesome, but there's a lot of repetition. The uniqueness, the coolness is what life does. I couldn't imagine leaving all these systems, the galaxy, barren. I'd want to get out there and explore them, and if I found they were empty, I'd want to put something there.
Yeah, I mean, the goal should be, I would think that the goal should be, right now, we should be building interstellar generational ships right now. We shouldn't be focused on anything else but that, and putting 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people on them and shooting them off in a direction. Whether it's Alpha Centauri, right? I don't care. Pick something and just head out in that direction, and eventually you're going to get there. But this planet here isn't going to be around forever, and our sun is not either. And that's what we should be planning on, is getting off this planet. We should have a goal that unifies us all.
There is so much out there that we can do. And, we, somewhere along the line, we start off on this earth as a small tribe in one location, and we spread out, even though we couldn't talk to each other. You can't maintain a civilization without fast light travel over big distances, but you can send colonies out. All those folks who settled all across the planet back in the dawn of time as a war, they couldn't talk to each other, but they still spread out. They still sent their sons and daughters off to new places. And I can't see us not doing that. And it's so hard for me to imagine any other species choosing to do that. Some might, but they can't be the majority. They can't be all of them. So somebody's got to be out there doing it. And if they're not, and this is where we always come back to the possibility that we might be really rare, I had to think it was because we just happen to be the first on the scene. But if we're not, the only thing that can make sense to me is either in the long term, civilizations just collapse out of existential dread, or they get out there and colonize places, and for some reason they just haven't talked to us yet. And there's so many reasons that could be the case. Maybe they do follow the Prime Directive. Maybe we just see the occasional accident where somebody gets exposed, but they're trying to, keep things fairly quiet so they don't disrupt us too much. I can't imagine they have not taken interest on us if they are here. If they are around the area, how could they not find us interesting? We would.
Yes or no question. Would you go to Mars one-way trip?
No. I don't even like to get on board.
Now, you just gave us the best case scenario of generational ships and colonizing, but you won't sign up for Mars.
If nobody else would, I certainly would. But my philosophy is pretty simple on this. I got most of my traveling done when I was younger. I loved it. I like staying at home right now in my nice, quiet little rural, haven. There are so many people who would be lining up for the chance. If this planet was getting ready to go and we had 100 million people that we could take off planet to some new world before the planet blew up, I would give my ticket away if I was lucky enough to win one, because I'd rather stay here and give it to somebody else who, wanted to get out there and explore. I would love to hear about what they see, but I'm personally quite happy to stay behind and let the folks who enjoy the exploration go do that.
Isaac, thank you for this conversation tonight, and let everybody know where they can come and find you.
Well, thank you for having me on, Jimmy. If you enjoy the material and want to learn more about the Fermi Paradox or colonizing the galaxy, just check out YouTube, Isaac Arthur, or isaacarthur.net.
And how often do you put out new material?
Well, we put out a weekly episode every Thursday morning, and we do occasionally some live streams and bonus material too. But every Thursday morning, new episode.
And really quick, You have a team that is behind you. It's not just all about Isaac Arthur. Who would you like to recognize with your team?
I think for tonight, we'll recognize Sergio Pateo. He's one of our artists working on some of the episode material for our Cloud Cities episode next week. And I think folks will love that. We have so many wonderful people, though, that have been helping out on the channel that have just made it so much better.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can do one of two things with your stuff over on the channel. You can just sit and listen in the dark, or visually and just go through the videos. The amount of work and production that goes into each one is a true labor of love, and it's great to watch. So thank you for all that you do, Isaac. It's just an amazing body of work.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, Jimmy.
And we'll talk soon. Thank you, Isaac. Isaac, say good night.
Oh, good night, everyone.
Good night. I thought I lost you again at the end of the show. All right, Isaac Arthur, everybody. I'm going to run credits and get out of here. Thank you so much, Isaac. It is isaacarthur.net, and his YouTube channel and everything else is right there. Also, Facebook. Isaac Arthur hangs out on Facebook. You can do whatever you need to do. All right, I'll see everybody tomorrow night right here for Fader Night. Open lines all night long. We also have Serena Wright-Taylor and Douglas Taylor to warm up the show tomorrow night. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show's produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2019 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Until tomorrow night, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.